This speech is a raw, relentless reminder that the person you were meant to become is buried under layers of weakness, excuses, comfort, and fear. Sprinting is not just about speed. It's about unleashing every ounce of your potential, running toward the resistance, and ripping apart the false identity you've been hiding behind. Most people jog through life. But those who sprint, those who chase the pain, they uncover their truth. This speech is a challenge, a wake-up call, and a blueprint to expose the real you. No more lies. No more comfort. It's time to sprint into your suffering and become unstoppable sprinting in discomfort. That's where you're hiding. Most people tiptoe through life trying to avoid discomfort like it's a plague. But what they're really avoiding isn't pain. It's the truth. Because the truth of who you are doesn't show up when everything's easy, when life is soft, and when you're coasting. It shows up when your lungs are screaming, your legs are on fire, and your mind is begging you to quit. That's why you don't jog into growth. You sprint. You run headfirst into the suffering, not because you love the pain, but because it's the only way to meet the unbreakable version of yourself. Sprinting tears off the mask you wear in public and throws you into the rawness of reality. You don't find out who you are when things are comfortable. You find out when they're chaos. When you sprint, you put yourself in a situation where your body can't lie. You can fake confidence at a walking pace. You can pretend to be disciplined when you're doing the bare minimum. When you hit that next gear and stay there, you lose all control of the facade. The excuses die. The ego gets crushed. And what's left? The real you, the scared you, the weak you, the strong you, the honest you. Sprinting is the mirror no one wants to look into because it shows you everything, not just your potential, but your fears, your flaws, your gaps in discipline. You need to see the cracks before you can rebuild. Discomfort is not a sign to stop. It's a signal that you're on the right track. Every part of your biology is screaming to maintain the illusion of safety. That's how we're wired. But your soul is craving the furnace. It's craving the test because it knows what you're capable of and it's pissed that you keep avoiding it. Sprinting into discomfort isn't just physical, it's spiritual. It's about aligning with the part of you that doesn't care how tired you are, how late it is, or how long it's been. It only cares about growth. That growth doesn't live in the gym. It doesn't live in motivational quotes. It lives in the fire. The only way in is through the sprint. Look around, King. How many people are stuck in routines that never push them, never challenge them, never ask for more? They're surviving, but they're not living. They're busy managing the life they build around comfort, terrified of ever stepping beyond it. But the ones who sprint, they look different. They think different. They move with a kind of clarity and intensity you can't fake because they face their demons at full speed. They've battled their limits and kept moving. You can't get it by playing it safe. You can't get it by jogging through life. When you commit to sprinting into discomfort, you stop chasing easy wins and start hunting real ones. You choose suffering on purpose. You run toward the hill instead of avoiding it. You lace up when it's cold, when it's dark, when your body's aching, because that's when you grow. That's when the average person breaks, but you break through. Sprinting becomes a mindset, a way of attacking not just workouts, but problems, failures, fears. You stop negotiating with your mind and start dominating it because you've built the pattern of going full speed, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Understand this, the place you're trying to reach, the mindset, the strength, the identity, it's not at the starting line. It's not in the warm up. It's not even in the first few painful steps. It's deep in the sprint, past the point where your mind says you can't take another breath. That's where you unlock something most people never touch, a self. Respect earned through struggle. But you won't get there unless you sprint directly into discomfort with no hesitation. No doubt, no retreat. You are not who you think you are. You are what you prove. Let me tell you something that will piss off your ego. Your self-image is a lie. The version of you that lives in your head, the one you think is disciplined, strong, relentless, is worthless until it's proven in the fire. You are not your intentions. You are not what you post, what you say, or what you believe about yourself. You are what you do when it sucks, what you do when nobody's watching, what you do when it's hard, when it's painful, when it's dark. The only thing that counts is what you prove over and over and over. Your reputation doesn't matter. Your dreams don't matter. Your actions are the scoreboard. Everything else is noise. Too many people build their identity around what they plan to do. I'm going to lose the weight. I'm going to start waking up early. I'm going to go hard next week. Shut that down. Nobody cares. The future version of you doesn't exist. Only the one that shows up today in the pain, in the discipline, in the battle. That's the only one that's real. You want to know who you are. Go do something uncomfortable and watch how you respond. Do you back off when it hurts? Do you take the easy road? Do you start talking yourself out of it the second it gets tough? That's your identity. Not what you tell yourself in your head, but what you prove with your feet, your hands, your sweat, your grind. Most people are too scared to test themselves because they don't want to find out that the version of themselves they've been is built on sand. They'd rather stay in the illusion than face the truth. But the real ones, they run straight into it. They want the test. They need the test. Because only through that crucible can you use a real identity. One that isn't based on theory, but evidence. One that isn't based on hype, but on scars. You earn your name in the dark. You earn your identity in the trenches. And once you do, it's unshakable because you didn't dream it. You lived it. You don't get to label yourself strong because you read a book about discipline. You don't get to call yourself a savage because you had one good workout. You earn those titles through daily confrontation with resistance, through choosing the hard path again and again and again. It's not enough to think it. You've got to prove it on cold mornings, during painful runs, through lonely nights, in silence, in failure, in struggle. That's where the identity is forged. That's where your name is written. Not in the fantasy of who you want to be, but in the blood and sweat of who you become. Rel, your self-esteem is tied to your follow-through. Deep down, you know when you're full of it. You know when your words don't match your effort. That's why you can't sleep. That's why you doubt yourself, because you haven't stacked up enough proof. If you want to kill self-doubt, you don't need more affirmations. You need more evidence. You need to put in reps that hurt. You need to choose the hard thing when the easy one is right there. And you need to do it so often that your brain has no choice. But that's how you become unshakable. So stop waiting to feel like the person you want to be. First, you prove it through sweat, through pain, through struggle. Then you become it. You aren't what you think you are. You are what you've earned through consistent, painful, relentless effort. You are what you prove day after day in the dark. And if you're not willing to prove it, stop pretending it's who you are. The mind quits before the body. Take the power back. Your body can take more than you will ever believe. But your mind will lie to you long before your muscles fail. That's the battlefield. That's the war you've got to fight every day. Most people have no idea how far they can go because they surrender to the voice in their head that says, I'm tired. This hurts. I can't keep going. That voice is a liar. It's the voice of comfort, of fear, of weakness. And the worst part, most people listen to it like it's gospel. They treat it like truth, but it's not truth. It's a trap. Your mind is trying to protect you, but what it's really doing is holding you hostage. And if you want to break free, you've got to take the power back. When you're in the middle of the grind, heart pounding, lungs screaming, legs burning, that's when the voice shows up. It whispers soft at first. Want enough. Then it gets louder. You're going to hurt yourself. Then it starts shoutings. Quit now. That's the moment that separates people and back off. Others lock in, acknowledge the voice, and keep going anyway. That's what strength looks like. Not comfort, not ease, but defiance. You stare your mind in the face and say, you don't control me anymore. Here's the truth. Your body is a machine and it's built to endure. But the mind wants to tap out the second thing, stop being easy. It's wired to seek survival, not greatness. But greatness doesn't live in safety. It lives in the pain, the doubt, the grind. You've got to retrain your brain to stop being soft. You've got to rewire the mental habits that tell you to pull back. And that only happens when you consistently push past the quit point. Not once, not twice, but over and over. That's how you build a mind that serves you instead of sabotaging you. Every time you push through pain, you teach your brain a new language. You show it that discomfort isn't death. That struggle isn't failure. That effort doesn't mean stop. It means go harder. That's where confidence comes from. Not from results, but from the ability to override the mental noise that tells you to stop. Every rep past the breaking point is a bulletproof brick in your mindset. And every time you listen to weakness, you hand it control. It's every damn time. Who's in charge? You or the voice? The mental quit button is always within reach. It never disappears. But so is the override switch. The override switch is where your future lies. It's where the next level of you gets built. When your mind says, we're done, and you respond, no, we're just getting started, you enter a new dimension. You realize your limits are illusions. You realize the enemy isn't your body. It's your doubt. You realize that you've been giving power to a voice that hasn't earned it. And now it's time to take it back. So start rewiring today. Push when your mind says pull. Lean in when your brain says back off. Keep moving when it demands you stop. The more you do this, the quieter that weak voice becomes, and the louder your true self rises. The strong one. The focused one, unstoppable one. Because the body isn't done, it's the mind that needs to be tamed. Master that, and there's nothing that can hold you back. Pain is the doorway. Only the brave go through. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is your invitation. It's the gatekeeper that stands between who you are and who you're supposed to become. But here's the brutal truth. Most people run the other way the second pain shows up. They see pain as a stop sign, not a signal. They think pain means they're doing something wrong. No. Pain means you're finally doing something right. Pain means you've left the world of comfort and stepped into the territory where growth lives. But only the brave go through that door. Only the ones willing to hurt for it ever get to see what's on the other side. You want strength? You've got to suffer. You want clarity? You've got to bleed. You want to unlock your next level? You've got to endure something that feels like it's going to break you and refuse to back down. Like it's something to be avoided, numbed, escaped. But the elite, the obsessed, the relentless, they treat pain like a map. They follow it because they know it always leads to something greater. Pain is the cost of transformation. No shortcut. No way around it. You either pay in full or stay the same. The problem is we've been conditioned to chase pleasure, comfort, ease. We're surrounded by cushions, convenience, soft talk, and soft choices. But greatness doesn't care about your comfort. It demands pain. It demands sacrifice. The kind of pain that makes you question everything. The kind that breaks you open. That's where the gold is. That's where the change happens. Not in the good days, but in the brutal ones. Not in the workouts that feel good, but the ones that make you see stars. You want to build something real. You want to uncover your purpose. Go through the pain. Not once. Pain is honest. It doesn't lie. It tells you exactly where your limits are and dares you to push past them. It doesn't care what you say about yourself. It wants to see it. It wants proof. You can scream affirmations into the mirror all day long, but until you show up in the pain and say, let's go, nothing changes. Pain separates the pretenders from the real ones. It sorts out the weak from the warriors. Everyone says they want to be great until pain shows up and punches them in the mouth. That's when you find out who's serious. Going through the doorway of pain is terrifying, but it's necessary. It's the toll you pay to level up. And once you pass through, you realize it's not there to destroy you. It's there to reveal you. Pain strips away all the lies you've been telling yourself. It exposes the lazy patterns, weakness, the excuses. And if you let it, it will rebuild you stronger, sharper, clearer, more dangerous. But you've got to lean in. You've got to walk through that fire and say, I'm not scared of you anymore. I'm here for what's mine. So next time pain knocks, don't run. Don't flinch. Step forward, open the door. Because on the other side of that suffering is the version of you that can't be stopped. But you'll never meet that version if you keep ducking the struggle. Pain is the only way through. And only the brave walk that path. Sprinting teaches identity. You can't fake it at full speed. When you sprint, there's no hiding, no mask, no pretend. It's just you and the truth, raw, exposed, and brutal. Every step, every breath, every second under pressure is a mirror. And that mirror doesn't reflect who you want to be. It reflects who you are. You can lie to your friends, your family, your followers. You can act hard, post quotes, wear the gear, play the role. But when your body is on fire and your lungs are collapsing, when you're moving full speed toward the edge of your limit, that's where the fakes fall off. That's where your identity either collapses or gets forged in fire. Sprinting is more than physical, it's spiritual. It brings you face to face with every doubt, fear, insecurity, and excuse you've been hiding behind. It rips off the layers of softness you've wrapped around yourself. You can't think your way through it. You can't coast. You can't fast when you're going full throttle. The sprint demands everything. And when you give everything, you find out what's been living inside of you this whole time. You find out if the person you say you are matches the person you really are. Most people don't like what they find. That's why they never sprint. Jogging gives you space to lie to yourself. You can jog through pain, jog through failure, through mediocrity, and still convince yourself you're making progress. But sprinting forces you to face the brutal reality of your capacity. It forces you to confront how often you've settled, how much you've held back. Sprinting doesn't allow negotiation. It doesn't wait for your motivation to catch up. It demands commitment now and punishes hesitation. That's why it's one of the purest tools for discovering your identity. 2, because it strips away all the excuses and reveals exactly what you're made of. Every sprint is a test, and every test gives you feedback. Or did you tap out? Did you keep your form? Or collapse under pressure? Did you show up with intention? Or just survive the moment? Over time, these answers shape who you are. You either build a pattern of quitting when it gets hard, or a habit of stepping into fire and pushing harder. Sprinting gives you no time to fake effort. You either explode out of that gate with purpose, or you get exposed. You either finish strong, or you let pain write your story. This is how identity is built, not with words, but with action under pressure. And here's the key: identity is not a static thing. It's not something you're born with. It's not fixed by your past. One sprint, one rep, one hard choice at a time. Sprinting teaches you that you can redefine yourself through intensity, repetition, and suffering. It teaches you that pain isn't the enemy. It's a signal that you're on the right track. It teaches you that who you were yesterday means nothing if today you choose to go all in. You build identity by proving over and over that you will not be broken, not by pain, not by fear, and not by your own mind. So if you want to know who you really are, sprint. Push past the limit where most people stop. Hold nothing back. Because when you run with everything you got and the world around you fades into fire and grit, the real you shows up. No filters, no lies, just truth. And in that truth, you either discover your weakness or your warrior. You don't find yourself in silence. You meet yourself when people keep talking about finding themselves like it's some peaceful retreat. Like if they sit in silence long enough, journal their thoughts, and light the right candle, they'll magically stumble upon their purpose. Let me be real with you. You don't find yourself in silence. You meet yourself in suffering. You uncover the truth of who you are when you're knee deep in pain, out of breath, out of strength, and out of excuses. And you still keep moving. That's where your real identity lies, not in comfort, but in the storm. Suffering what the mirror can't. It shows you how much you really want it. It exposes how hard you're willing to fight. In silence, you can dream. In suffering, you desilence. You can tell yourself you're disciplined. In suffering, you prove it. The fake version of you dies when things get hard. The soft mindset, the false confidence, the Instagram motivation, that all gets burned off when you're deep in the trenches. And what's left? The version of you that's real. The one that's carved out through pain. That's where the work happens. In the suffering, in the dirt, in the fire. You can't intellectualize your way into strength. You have to bleed for it. You have to get up when every muscle says no. You have to do the extra set when no one's looking. You have to go when your mind screams stop. That's suffering. That's where self-discovery lives. Not in your comfort zone, not in your routine, not in your feel-good podcast. You find yourself when you're crushed and you choose to rise. That's the decision that builds identity. That's where self-respect is born. Not from results, but from the fight itself. The problem is most people avoid suffering like it's a curse. But suffering isn't your enemy. It's your teacher. It teaches you what matters. It teaches you what you're made of. It shows you how far you've come and how far you've still got to go. It's a mirror made of fire, and the reflection you see in it is the one that can't be faked. You either step into it and level up, or step away and stay average. Those are your choices. And every day, with every hard thing you choose, you're casting your vote for who you become. Suffering creates a new dialogue in your head. The weak voice that once screamed, can't, gets drowned out by a new one that whispers, try again. Then that whisper becomes louder, stronger, more aggressive. Soon, that voice becomes the only one you listen to. That voice is you. Not the version created by your upbringing, your friends, or your failures, but the one that was born in suffering. You start realizing you're capable of far more than you thought. You start loving the pain because the pain brings power. It brings clarity. It brings growth. So stop running from suffering. Chase it. Hunt it down. Because while everyone else is hiding in comfort and hoping for strength to magically show up, you're out there building in the fire. You're uncovering who you really are, not with words, but with blood, sweat, and relentless effort. Suffering strips you of the lies and introduces you to the truth. And once you meet that version of yourself, there's no going back.